right, here we go. May the 4th be with you.
And also with you.
As it should be. Happy Star Wars Day, everyone. We figured we would celebrate going through our collection of Star Wars games, which it's not an all-inclusive list, but we've got quite a few.
Yeah, we have a decent collection. I know we're missing some huge titles,
Yeah.
but we'll get them eventually.
Yes, so what we're going to do is we're going to play a little game called Pass or Play. We have went through all these games, we've played them again, we've revisited them, because some of them we haven't played since we were like little kids, right? So we're going to go through our collection and say pass if it's a game that you really don't need to pick up, and if we say play, it's a banger, it might even be a hidden gem. So we're going to start in chronological order with the earliest Star Wars games that we have.
Yes.
And we have got Super Star Wars and Super Empire Strikes Back on the Super Nintendo. LucasArts titles, what'd you think?
Okay, so for Super Nintendo, these are good platformers.
Yeah.
But for being a Star Wars game, I was kind of let down on these two. They just felt kind of repetitive, and if it was just a normal platformer, I'd be like, oh, this is cool, but being in a Star Wars universe, I feel like it was kind of lackluster.
Well, I kind of feel like they could have put any title on these and changed a little bit of the sprite work, and it could have been any type of movie game. They're your typical run-of-the-mill action platformer, kind of run and gun type. I do think the Super Empire Strikes Back is the better of the two games.
You get a lightsaber.
Yeah, honestly, for both of these games, they're not horrible, but pass.
I'd say pass. If you're trying to scratch a Star Wars itch, it doesn't really do it.
They're fun. 16-bit art style's good.
For the time, I get it, but,
if I had never played these, I wouldn't be missing out on much on the Super Nintendo. Not horrible, but we're going to pass on the Super Nintendo games. So we're going to fast forward to the 64-bit era. And we've got 3 games on the Nintendo 64. We've got Episode 1 Pod Racer, which may have a better version, but we're going to talk about this one. We've got Rogue Squadron, and we've got Shadows of the Empire, Robert's copy from when he was a little boy.
I had Pod Racers and Shadows of the Empire growing up. I got the 64 for Christmas, and so both these two games have a special place in my heart, and they are fantastic. So Pod Racers is just a typical racing game. But it's Episode 1 universe, and you're racing in pod. Like, it's so much fun.
Yeah, so I would say this is a play, for sure.
But there's another version of that.
The Dreamcast version, I think, is better than this, but nonetheless, this game is still fun.
Yes. And then the other one that I grew up with is Shadows of the Empire. This is a one-player game, and it is so badass.
Yeah, so you mentioned the number of players. I do want to circle back to this. This is only 2-player.
Yeah, and the Dreamcast version is 4.
Yeah, so it would have been cool.
Which is weird. I don't know why it was 2-player on the 64.
I think it's just a lot going on.
Yeah,
I don't know if the 64 could have handled it. But.
The graphics on Shadow of the Empire do kind of date, but you can look past that because this is a great freaking game.
So then we have the first entry in the Rogue Squadron series, kind of the tip of the iceberg, if you will. I used to really, really love this game. I think it still plays pretty well. There are better offerings in the series, which we'll get to shortly. A little bit of foreshadowing. But I think all of these that are in the play category.
I think they're all great. They have nostalgia for me. Yes, they are so great. And if you haven't played them, I think a lot of people missed out on Pod Racers, and it's just a fun racing game. You know?
So the trifecta on the N64, which honestly, we've kind of crapped on it a few times. So these are pretty good games right there. So moving right along, we're going to go into the PS1, the sole PS1 game that we have in the Star Wars universe, Jedi Power Battles.
Yes. So I got this game. This is a huge game that's nostalgic for me. I got it when I was younger. I used to play with my neighbor all the time. It's just a badass Jedi game, and you have lightsabers, and you basically just go through, and when parts got hard and there was lots of enemies, we used to say this term called playing football. Let's play football. That's where you just run. You just run past the enemies, and you're playing football just to get through the end, because sometimes there are hard parts.
Yeah. So, pass or play, we're going to say hold off, because this game has another one coming down the pipe.
Yes, it does.
So, we're going to jump into the Dreamcast. We have 2 offerings on the Dreamcast. One of them is Power Battles.
And I grew up with the PlayStation 1 version, so it has nostalgia in my heart, but the Dreamcast version is better. It's the same game. It just plays better and looks better on the Dreamcast.
Yep, and it's a great co-op game. So I would say pass on the PS1, Jedi Power Battles on the Dreamcast is a play.
And I feel like that's a hidden gem because a lot of people don't talk about that game.
Yeah, especially on the Dreamcast for sure. So Star Wars Demolition, we've got, this was also on the PS1, I believe, but we have the Dreamcast version.
This game I had super high hopes for. It could have been amazing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Twisted Metal, but in the Star Wars universe. Yep. It just doesn't quite deliver what my expectations were. It could have been looking so badass.
It feels like really unfinished to me.
It does. There's a lot of glitches.
Yeah.
I feel like they were rushing to get it out, and I thought this was going to be a hidden gem. I'd never heard of it. There's lots of different game modes. It's a great multiplayer game, but it just doesn't quite get there.
Yeah, if you're a Vigilante 8 or Twisted Metal fan and you have a fandom for Star Wars, it's probably worth owning, but I would say pass on this game, pass on the PS1 Jedi Power Battles, and play on Jedi Power Battles on the Dreamcast.
Yes, dude.
Fair?
It is awesome.
Okay, moving right along to the good old PlayStation 2.
One of our favorite consoles.
3 offerings here. We've got the beloved Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, and we've got Star Wars, the Lego video game.
So let's talk about Battlefront. Dude, I grew up playing Battlefront so much on the PlayStation 2. My cousin had it, so every time I went over to his house, we played it. It's a great freaking game, and it's multiplayer, dude. It's so cool, and I love the second one in particular because you can be a Jedi. Like,
Yeah.
It's so freaking awesome, and I know that it did offer online, but I played it just, locally.
Yeah, well,
and it's the same.
Current day, servers be down.
Yeah, you can't be doing that. But it's a great game. The first one's still fun, and I love how you can go from planet to planet. It's so cool.
Yeah, very cool. These games are a for sure play.
Yeah, hands down.
These games kind of have almost developed like a cult following. They're just tons of fun and easy to pick up and play. Difficult to master, but they are fun nonetheless. So gotta play both the Battlefront games on the PS2.
Now, Lego Star Wars for the PS2. What do you think?
This is a tough one because fantastic game.
Yes, I love the Lego series, and I know a lot of people that haven't played them, they're like, oh, that's a kid's game. Yes, it's for families, but play it,
roll.
dude. Play it. They are so much fun.
Yep, great co-op game.
But this one is great, but there's better offerings.
Down the line.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. So if this is the only access you have to a Star Wars Lego game, for sure, but I would say
still great.
Pass because there's some better versions that are on the cheap as well. So anyway, pass on that. Moving right along to possibly, arguably, some of the better Star Wars games, in my opinion, ever made, and that would be Rogue Squadron 2 and 3. So you got Rogue Leader, and you've got Rebel Strike on the Nintendo GameCube.
These games are so beautiful, and I love how
Gorgeous.
The third one you can get out of your ship.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah, so we were talking earlier about something about the third one has that like Driver 2 feel to me, because if anybody watching has played Driver, you always wished you could get out of your vehicle. Now when you got out of your vehicle, it wasn't that great.
Yeah, so in the third one, when you get out and you're walking around, it's not the greatest.
Yeah.
There's other Star Wars games where you're walking around that are better.
Yeah.
But it's still cool you can do that because that's not the main... Yeah, it's just...
And at the time, when you could get out of your ship, you're like, okay, let's go.
Okay, dude. And the shipping, the flying mechanics are so cool. And what's really cool is the third one offers co-op.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because the first mission in co-op on 3 is the first mission solo player in the second one.
Yeah, so
that's a little fun fact.
The co-op game mode is almost a regurgitation of Rogue Squadron 2, but it doesn't have all the missions. It's cool because if you didn't get this copy and you only got Rogue Squadron 3 and you had a buddy, you could kind of experience what 2 was all about.
There is some slowdown and lag when you're doing 2-player, but it's not that noticeable. But when you go from playing 1-player to 2-player, you notice it.
Yeah,
it's
for
still
sure.
a great game, and doing it co-op is badass.
Yeah, it's a good time for sure, nonetheless. But moving right along, we are going to dig into the Xbox.
Star Wars! Happiness.
Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2.
Yes, these are great games. I know we've said a lot on the channel, we're not huge fans of RPGs, but this is an RPG that I will go back and play, and I want to, because I've never beat these games. They're great. The only thing that does bother me, and I know it's an RPG, is it's turn-based combat, so that's kind of frustrating because it's a Star Wars game, and...
You kind of just want to hack and slash.
When you think Star Wars, you want a lightsaber, but other than that, this is a great game. I know a lot of people play this. Great franchise.
I think this game is teed up. I feel like it's in that territory where it desperately needs a remake.
Yes.
The game's still great, but there's a lot of the mechanics that I think could be ironed out with the new technology and all those type of things. Also, this might be kind of controversial, but I think the first one is better than the second after going back, the second one just feels like there's some like bugs that weren't quite worked out. I don't know. They're both great.
They might have been rushing to get the second one out. I don't know.
Yeah, but if you're gonna dive into one of these, at least my recommendation would be jump into the first one. It's a great game and still plays very well to this very day. Moving right along.
This one is awesome, and I feel like this is a sleeper hit too on the Xbox.
It is.
Because it comes in a combo disc.
Yeah.
Oh, Tetris? No. Star Wars The Clone
Yeah,
Wars.
so it's packed in with Tetris Worlds. This was actually packed in with some Xbox consoles. It was the pack-in game, at least on the one that I got. Clone Wars. So I think this game was, for the most part, developed to be an online game. But I feel like this is Halo meets Star Wars.
Oh, yes. And there's so many multiplayer game modes in
Yeah.
this, so it's a sleeper. And I believe you can do LAN parties with this, which
Yeah, the
makes
system
it
link, yep.
even better.
Yep.
The single-player story mode is fun. It's
kinda shallow, though.
But
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah.
This game thrives in the multiplayer.
Yep.
It is so much fun. Get your buddies together, system link your Xboxes,
Yeah.
take it back to the day, and I feel like you can find this game for dirt cheap.
You can, and I think of all the games we're going to cover today, this Star Wars Clone Wars is the hidden gem of this group.
I think so.
I think if they did a modern one of this with online play, holy cow.
God, especially with all the different multiplayer game modes.
Yeah.
It would be a blast.
It was one of those when we were going back and playing through these games, we lost a lot of time to that because it's just so good. And it still looks fantastic on the original Xbox.
It looks freaking great.
It's time to get a little bit more modern with the Xbox 360. We're going to start off with a Lego Star Wars game, The Force Awakens. So we ditched the PS2 game.
Yes, but this one's cool because it basically is in the same world as The Force Awakens, which I haven't seen. I've only seen the original 6 movies. This is still a fun game, though, and you don't have to see the movie to be able to play the game.
Yeah. So the reason we tossed the PS2 version, and other than this, every other Lego Star Wars game, which we don't have, but we would toss those and say pass, is because of Star Wars: The Complete Saga.
Yes, this one is awesome because it includes movies 1 through 6, so it's basically all the Star Wars games put into one, and on the 360, it looks beautiful. I know it's available on the Wii as well, but the 360 version looks freaking great. If you're going to get a Star Wars game, get this. I feel like this is the most bang for your buck, and I believe this is cheap.
And the 360 controller is baller. Say what? So, Star Wars Force Unleashed.
This game was so cool when it came out.
Super hype.
What you could do with all the Force, and you felt like you were a real Jedi. Like you had all these powerful moves, you could move things. It was awesome.
But it could have been a little bit better.
Yes.
Now, I still think if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, this is a play.
Yeah, it's a great game.
It's a beautiful game, but it just, some of the stuff was a little bit confusing. Like, this game was teed up to be a 9 out of 10 or even higher, and it probably comes in at like a 6.5 or a 7 for me, because some of the environmental shit just doesn't make sense.
No, yeah, and it seems, it gets kind of repetitive too when you're fighting, you know, the mechanics are very similar.
Yeah.
But it's still cool to be able to do the Force, and I know there's a second one, which we don't have, and I haven't played the second one, so maybe they ironed all that stuff out. I think if you're a Star Wars fan, you should give it a shot, but it's not one of the best Star Wars games.
Yeah, so moving right along, this is actually the last Star Wars game that we have in our collection. We do not have Fallen Order yet.
We need to get it.
But we have Battlefront II.
Yikes.
Controversy.
Yeah, we actually got this game for free. It was a gift. Everyone knows that this game could have been awesome, but the microtransactions ruined it.
Yeah.
We already said our love for the Battlefront games on the PS2, and this could have been bringing it to the modern day online. And it basically is that, but then they had to go and ruin it. EA, you freaking money.
Hungry sons of bitches. Now, this game, I love the mechanics of the game. You know, I've heard a lot of people say they don't really care for the story. I think it's actually it's a short playthrough.
Yeah.
But it's worthwhile of playing. It's tough to say pass because I think that would be jumping on the ship with the hype train. You can get this game so cheap. It's damn near free. Like, you can get it for a few bucks. Yeah.
It's beautiful looking.
It's a beautiful game. I think this is worth playing if you can get it for a few dollars.
Yeah.
Because the story mode's super short, but it's fun.
I would say if you get it for free, play it, but if you're going to play Battlefront, go back to the PS2.
Yeah.
Because playing them earlier, I was like, dude, this takes me back, and I can't stop playing it. It's so much fun.
So as we went through these, I was kind of taken back. We've talked about movie games and stuff like that before on the channel, and you would think they're, at least for what we have, maybe we just kind of got lucky. We've got like 20 some Star Wars games, and I think we tossed like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah,
the Super Nintendo games, the Star Wars Demolition, Jedi Power Battles, but just
we
the
kept
PS1 version.
we kept the better version.
It's really hard to go wrong, and a lot of these games are on the cheap. The GameCube ones, that's kind of the anomaly because it's the GameCube. But Wow.
Man, yeah, I love Star Wars growing up, and when I went back and played some of these, we had the old movies on, I was like, dude,
Yeah.
I get why I love Star Wars. Star Wars is freaking great, and I've only seen episodes 1 through 6, so don't crucify me.
Well, I really have only dialed myself in. I've seen 1 through 6, but I really only know, the first 3 movies. So
4,
that would
5,
be
and
4,
6.
yeah, 4, 5, and 6.
Those are classics.
Yeah, those are the ones I really have dialed in on. The other ones I've seen maybe once each. But nonetheless, a lot of these games play very well. They transport you back into the movie. And like the Force Unleashed that we just talked about, it's actually a bridge in the gap between 2 movies, right? So it's kind of a story that you kind of need to know.
It bridges the gap between episodes 3 and 4, which is really cool if you're like into the story and into connecting the movies. I know a lot of these are just all over the place, so that's kind of cool how it ties it together.
There's tons of great Star Wars games to enjoy on Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. We have a beer we brought along.
The Starship IPA by New Belgium.
It just felt Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars, dude. He looks like a skeleton version of Han Solo.
See?
Yes. What do you think? Because you love IPAs.
Yeah, well, it's not my go-to style of beer, but it's good.
Yes.
It's a pretty run-of-the-mill IPA, I would say. It's a good IPA. Nothing I haven't really tasted before, but New Belgium makes good beers. So.
Yes, they do. This is a very simple IPA. It's very smooth. It's not too aggressive. I feel like most people would like this. I feel like this would be a beer, and I'm not condoning this, but this could be a beer you could drink while driving the Millennium Falcon. See what I did there? No, but this beer, it's just good and refreshing. Like if you're drinking this outside grilling or outside in the heat, this would be really refreshing. Yeah. It's just nice and light. It's got good flavor. It's not too aggressive. It's just it's a simple IPA and I'm enjoying it, Makes me want to play Star Wars games.
So, of all the games we covered today, there's been like 20. What are your top 3?
Top 3
on the spot.
Oh, golly. Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga. It's always great.
So is that your number 1?
No, this is not in any order.
Okay.
Then I'm going to have to go with Shadows of the Empire just because of nostalgia. And then I know Clone Wars we talked about a lot. But I'm going to have to go with Jedi Power Battles just because of nostalgia, too. Yep. Those are 3.
My top 3, starting with number 1, is going to be Rogue Squadron 3.
A great game.
Love that game a lot. It's amazing. Number 2 would be Battlefront 2 on the PS2.
See, why did I pick those?
And then...
Here's my list.
Clone Wars. Number 3. I freaking blown away at how good that game is.
See, we talked about so many, dude. Battlefront has to be my top 3. Can I have like a top 3 of 8 games?
Nope.
Oh.
Moving right along.
Yep.
Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoy Star Wars Day. I know we're all locked down on this quarantine shit.
Perfect time to binge.
It's a perfect time to get through the series, play some Star Wars games. A lot of these games, the music will just transport you into the Star Wars universe. It's not an all-inclusive collection, but man.
Dude, I did not know we had this many Star Wars games, and I love it. And now I'm getting back into Star Wars. I want to go find a lightsaber.
Woo! We always appreciate you tuning in and subscribing to the channel. Keep gaming, keep drinking. We'll see you next time right here on Gaming Off the Grid.